David Brewster here with another 3 for All, and this is 3 Rex Carroll Licks from 1991. Now, for those of you that are aware of Rex Carroll, then you know what's coming. This guy is a monster guitar player. But if you don't know Rex Carroll, it's okay. It's understandable. There is kind of a little, asterisk or whatever next to his name. So I distinctly remember when I was in high school, I was hopelessly, obsessed with, Van Halen and Vai and Malmsteen. And I brought my guitar to school, and I don't remember who it was specifically. I just remember there was this guy that was in one of my classes. He found out I played guitar, and I brought my guitar for like a show and tell thing, and I played guitar for my class. And I remember I played the tapping part from Eruption and a couple riffs, and all my friends were like, whoa, but then I remember this classmate came over, and I don't remember who it was. That's awful. But I remember, and he looked at me and he was like, that was pretty cool. Can you play Nagasaki? And I looked at him and I was like, what's Nagasaki? And he was like, you haven't heard that? It'll blow your mind. And then it was like a month or two later, I was at a party, with some of my friends, and that classmate was there. And he ran out to his car, and he came back in, and he had Whitecross on cassette. And I was like, Whitecross? I was like, is this like Whitesnake or White Lion? And he's like, no, it's Christian rock. And he put Nagasaki on, and it's like a minute and a half, or it's under 2 minutes. But that guitar solo, it just made me stop in my tracks, and I listened to it multiple times, at that little gathering or party. And I thought, who in the world is Rex Carroll? And for me personally, I find inspiration anywhere. I don't care if it's Christian rock or, Swedish death metal, or it could be a pop tune or reggae or disco or, whatever, a folk tune, it doesn't matter. If it's good, my ear will kind of lock onto it, and then I'll kind of go and visit, whatever it is. And if I really like it, I might hang out there for a little while, and then eventually bring some of that stuff back to my world. Because as much as I like studying other players' music and learning songs and solos and licks, it's all about bringing it back to me, you know what I mean, and my, creative output or my music or my ideas. Because I don't really want to copy anybody. I want to be myself as a musician, but I definitely borrow ideas and kind of, steal ideas whenever possible, because that's what artists do. Rex worked with Whitecross, I guess, like on about 4 or 5 albums, like in the mid to late 80s and early to mid 90s. And then he kind of left the group, and I don't really know the story behind that. I was trying to dig up some of the dirt, like why did Whitecross continue without him? Because he really was the shining star, in my opinion. No offense to the band, but like that first Whitecross album sounds like Rat, but it's Christian rock, but it totally sounds like Rat. That's why Rat is up on the wall right there. I don't have Whitecross on vinyl, sorry. But it really does. The vocals, the riffs, the songs, it has a very heavy Rat influence, but they're obviously not talking about, invading somebody's privacy or whatever. They're singing about, Christianity or whatever. But the guitar work on all of those albums is phenomenal. But on every album, or pretty much every album, Rex did a solo. And here's an image so you'll know like the names of songs and where you can find those albums, because Rex will melt your face off. I mean, he's amazing. The first lick is this 2-part diminished idea from Nagasaki, and he descends one way and then ascends a different way. Something like this. It's a little slower. It's so it's really crafty, and I love the way he goes down. That definitely sounds like Yngwie. And then when he goes back up, he was kind of using that open B string, which is really cool. So one more time. And here's the footage from '91 with Rex just, you know, flying through that lick. The next lick is another lick from Nagasaki, and it's this dizzy tapping phrase. And Rex is playing an old PV Vandenberg, and it has 24 frets. I don't have 24 frets on my guitar, but in the solo, he starts it, you know, as high on the fretboard, you know, tapping on the 22nd fret, and then he moves up a whole step where he's tapping on the 24th fret. So I don't have 24 frets, so instead of doing that, I just chose to go down a whole step instead of up a whole step. So if you have 24 frets, feel free to shift up, you know, a whole step. If you're like me and you don't have 24 frets, then you can try going down a whole step. But it's something like this. And there you can see we're basically doing, you know, a 6-note pattern. Or I guess it's actually a 9-note pattern technically, but it's just 6 different notes. So that's what the left hand's doing. And then you're going to be tapping between the 22nd fret on the high E and the B. Something like that. And then when you start kind of flowing and getting up to speed, it has this blurry, dizzying kind of effect. And then take the exact same thing and just move down a whole step. And you can keep moving it around too, and it sounds wicked. It sounds like a video game or a computer, you know, freaking out. The next lick is this wicked mix and match arpeggio, and he's going up G major 7 and then comes down D7 or D dominant 7. But it's something like this. This is really cool. Stuff like that where it's like, yeah, and it's really simple, you know, G major 7 on the way up, and then right there he actually dips his bar from that C to D, something like that. But I love the way it kind of blurs from one arpeggio into the next. So cool. Here's a bonus lick, and this is the tapped section from the solo Flashpoint. And it's this really slow, classically influenced, arpeggiated idea, and he's tapping. And it sounds like Bach. It definitely has a very strong Baroque, you know, sound. Vivaldi or Bach or somebody. I'm not really sure who he lifted this idea from. But he's actually tapping it overhanded like this. So he's brought, you know, his fret hand around. And he's actually using like his pinky and his third finger to mute. And he's really just tapping with his index and middle on both hands. You know, kind of doing this. And I tried it that way. And it's interesting. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the clip first so you can see it and you can hear it. And then I've actually worked it out in a more kind of traditional, you know, way of playing it. Instead of doing it this way, we're going to do it this way. And I also turned it into a string skipping, like a little etude too. So here's the clip. So as you can see, it's nice and slow, you know, compared to some of the other stuff we looked at in this lesson. You know, it's kind of like you're just walking or strolling through it, so we don't have to worry about going really fast. So technically what's happening here is there's a chord progression, you know, A major, B minor, E7, and then A major. You know, That's basically the chord progression underneath everything. So really slow, we're doing this. So right there you can see we've grabbed A and C sharp, tap E, reach over and grab this A, tap C sharp, and you're going to release that to B. Then it's going to move to B minor, and you've got this. Then it's going to move back to E major, which is right here. And that's... And then back to A. And there's like this little pedal point thing there at the end too. Let me go through that kind of slow. And it's interesting how you're tapping on one string and then hammering on that D note. Something like that. So really slow. Now you can also string skip that, which is honestly how I prefer to play it. And you can see we're still doing the same thing, it's just we're not tapping. Alright, that's going to wrap this look at 3 Rex Carroll licks from 1991. Definitely an overlooked and kind of obscure, guitar hero. But definitely a phenomenal player. And if you like some of these licks and some of this footage, I highly recommend go back and listen to some of those albums and listen to his unaccompanied, shred guitar solos. And then listen to some of the songs, because his rhythm work and his lead work in some of the songs was really good too. But I always like those little showcase solos where it's like, man, and he always whipped out really cool ideas, very melodic and lots of technique, but then there was always a lot of heart in what he played too, where you could feel it, where it was like, yeah, he meant that stuff. He wasn't just trying to impress people. It's like, no, he was really, playing that. Leave some feedback and some comments. Please subscribe to Late Night Lessons, and I'll be back before you know with more content and material. Thank you.